Welcome to the Elevate Your Brand podcast, where we help online coaches learn how to elevate their brand, become the experts in their industries so they can bring in more clients and create a life they want. I am your host, Chris Anderson. And if you want to make a difference in the lives of others, share this episode, go over to Apple Podcasts and follow us there to leave a positive rating and review. And together we can leave a bigger positive mark on the world. Today we have Deborah Peters on the show. She is an international business coach and mindset expert, soon to be author, amongst a lot of other things. She is very immersed in the world of business, personal growth. So Deborah, welcome to Elevate Your Brand today.
Hey, thank you for having me. Let's give your listeners something to chew on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I look forward to that. I'll probably be chewing as well. Okay, you're international business coach, mindset expert, soon to be author. What led you to this? What led you to doing all that and everything else you do?
Coming out of college, I didn't really like working for anyone.
Yep.
I had a few corporate jobs, banking, industrial construction. I don't know. I felt like I've always had this gift of seeing and feeling what's going on in an organization. And so to go in as an employee that doesn't have a voice because I'm entry level just was super frustrating. And I can appreciate where they were at. Is who are you and how could you possibly know what you're talking about? You just got here. But it's a gift I have. And I thought, man, I could probably waste my whole life waiting for someone else to acknowledge my gifts and work my way up a corporate ladder for what? I just didn't see the fulfillment in that. So I got right into it. Not long after college, I owned a gym for close to a decade, and working with professional athletes, I became a bodybuilding judge, and we started promoting different aspects of the fitness world and training hockey players. And I just felt like this was the path I was supposed to go down, because it's endless and it consistently opens up your mind to possibilities of, if I think this way, if I manage my emotions this way, if I shift my focus, then the results start to change. And that's true whether it's your physical body, your finances, your business growth, your relationships. That's just true for everything. It grabbed me.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think it's funny, that's kind of one of the things that led me to starting a business. I got tired of being told what to do. It was like the ceiling. I was like, no, we could do so much more, and just the hindrance there. And I didn't like it. So yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, but I think a lot of people feel that way. They feel less in what they can do in their 9 to 5. So they want that freedom.
Yeah. I think for me, the real challenge, you nailed it. So the real challenge was I could see beyond the current way of doing things and the current results. And it just felt like bumping into a brick wall when other people within the organization didn't want to even hear it. No. Oh, no. And I'm like, what do you mean no?
Yeah. It's how it's always been done. It's how we always do it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. The worst thing to hear.
The worst. Yeah.
Oh, so you take that leap, you start getting into, the whole world of business and mindset. What was some challenges for you when you really started to see your mindset expand? What were some pushback from yourself? Did you have any of that?
It was everywhere. It was everywhere. And pushback from others is always pushback with ourselves. And I didn't quite understand that, because I was excited. I was just thrilled. And some people just couldn't get it. I think the first thing that happened early on was I blew out my family. They're like, what has happened to her? She's lost her ever-loving mind. And that's a good thing. I did lose my mind. The mind that was restricted, that was limited, that was low self-esteem, that was steeped in nostalgia and a paradigm of fear and risk aversion. And I just felt that as hard as that was, it was a blessing. But let me tell you, there's nothing worse than being that lone wolf, I think, in the beginning of your growth. And I've always been a pioneer. I've come to accept that, but it doesn't make it easier.
Yeah. And with it, so a lot of the people listening are lone wolves. They're starting out, they're solo entrepreneurs, they're bootstrapping it up. Like, what advice would you give them in that stage that they're in to overcome that?
Pray, meditate, journal, go for long walks in nature, exercise, vigorous workouts that really push your body, and eat clean, because it's tricky enough going down this road less traveled. But then if you stack onto that where you're not eating healthy, you're not fit, you sort of have a toxic system, you have a lot of inflammation, maybe you have sugar or caffeine addictions or social media addictions, or you just never really shut off and tune in, then you literally stack these big speed bumps in front of you and these brick walls that make it even harder to shift, because it's already a big deal. Like, it's going the road less traveled and learning to function from inside out instead of outside in. Most people can't handle it. I think there's more now. I think there's more outliers than there's ever been, but it's still tough work. It is. I'm not going to kid you.
No. Yeah, it's definitely tough. That's for sure. And I think, what you said there is internally, like, figuring out how to cope so you can stay level-headed, basically, when the craziness is around you. You said work out, eat clean, get outside, take a walk, pray, meditate, whatever it is. It's so important. I know starting my journey,
all of the above.
Yeah, doing it all. Those are some things I didn't know, I didn't think about, and it just, you could tell it there. And even still, I'm not perfect at it. Like, there'll be moments where I let some of that slip, and I'll feel the anxiety or whatever, the buildup of everything that's going on. I'm like, okay, time out, take a step back.
Yeah.
Figure out where I'm going wrong internally so I can make better decisions, move forward better. So it never goes away. You always have to continue to grow and make sure you're being...
Well, you're cultivating, right? Cultivating. And so the tricky thing is that as human beings, we are governed by our senses. So 24/7, our senses, and what I mean by that is what we see, hear, feel, both tactile and intuitive, smell, taste, touch, our self-talk. Let's not forget our self-talk. And our self-talk. So our senses essentially run our sense of reality. And it's through that's the filter through which we experience life, and it's the filter through which we respond to life, or in some people's cases, react to life. And they never stop. The antenna is always up. And so the key to getting what you want, whatever it is to be able to control or pivot or ignore what your senses are screaming at you, and actually taking your focus on to what it is that you want. And that takes some practice, and I think that's a practice that we probably need to do until the day we kick the bucket, because there's a whole sensory-based world that is pulling on us, that is triggering us, that is impacting us. It's like pounding on us with messages about this and about that, like drilling it even down to lyrics in songs and messaging in headlines and news reports. It just goes forever. It just goes forever. And it's a world that is abuzz with propaganda. Let's just be honest. Yeah. So how do you get what you want when you're this being that is impacted by the repetitious impressions of some fictitious messaging that's coming from an entity that just really wants to sell you their stuff.
Exactly. And it's so true. It's like there's so much now, I think even more because of social media and everything, good or bad, there's just so much coming at us. And yeah. How do we like protect or how do we grow through with all that coming at us? Like, what are some steps that you could share or that would help people?
Pray, meditate, journal, go for walks in nature, work out, go to bed at a decent hour. For me, there's no one thing.
Right.
It's all of the above. And maybe it's not all of the above in one day, but it's a lifestyle. For me, that's a lifestyle. So, for instance, yesterday I meditated first thing in the morning before I started my day. Today I did not because I went to the gym. And some days you just have to, how much time do you have? So sometimes it's like you're making a choice.
Yep.
But interestingly enough, when I'm exercising, I go into a meditation and I connect with my inner being. I connect with my higher self. So no, it wasn't a sit down, close my eyes for 15 minutes meditation.
Yeah.
It was more of an active meditation, which to me is like when I go for a 5 mile or 10 mile bike ride, or when I go for a walk for an hour in nature. And so it's not about it. I think what we have to do is take the wrongness out of it. Like it didn't look the same today as I said I was going to do, and just look at it and go, okay, I have so many hours in a day. I got I got to get done. So I'm going to break this down. And I'm gonna get all of it in by the end of the week, and then it compounds. What's fascinating is this stuff compounds. It's like compound interest. It grows on itself, and so that's really the key because you're never going to shut off the machine, but you don't have to participate in it.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think choosing to participate in that's a big one. And something I learned too along the way is, what do I give the energy to? What's actually warranted? A lot of times not very much really is, and most of the time we make it worse on ourselves just through what we're thinking and how we're responding to things. And I think with just business too, because if you don't have that kind of self-reflection or time to turn off the outside world, you miss a lot of growth possibility.
Yeah.
And it slows the whole process down.
Yeah. It should be part of every business model.
Yeah.
That's the way I teach it.
Yeah.
When I do annual strategic planning session for our company, the first thing I'm addressing with the leadership around the table is mindset.
So if you go into a business, and how do you battle them saying, okay, this is true stuff, which we know it's not. I'm not saying that, but from their perspective, they're like, is this really needed? Like, why are we doing this? Have you ever had that? And you've had to how do you go about that? I'm sure that's interesting. You going in there and having to overcome that.
That is often the weeding out process. Maybe they're not ready to be my client.
Okay.
Because that's what I lead with. And the reason I lead with that is because when I teach them that and they practice it, they'll get everything they want. When I teach them that and they don't practice it, then they won't get what they want and they'll blame external circumstances. So if that's the case, then they're really not coachable. So I just wouldn't.
That's a good point.
Come back to me when you're ready.
Yeah, and that's a big mindset shift right there in itself. I just remember when I started out and I was like, I just need to make money. Like, I should need to make money. I don't care what client it is. Like, and going from that to now, if someone's like, oh, could you do a desk count? I'm like, I could charge more. Do the old Alex Hormozy line. I could charge more. I could do it for more. And weeding people out now.
Yeah.
I think that's a big mindset shift in itself, is going from, I just want any client to, no, I want the right ones and I want them to be ready so I can help them. I think that's a huge thing right there in growing a business mindset wise.
Yeah, it's really the basis, because when you think about it, we probably spend most of our waking hours in our lifetime working.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you let's say you're even just only doing 40 hours a week, which I don't know anybody that is, but
right.
Even at that, 40 hours a week, you're still working a large chunk of your day when you factor in sleep and eating. But like, I think the breakthrough for me came, look, my style of coaching and the way I work with clients is not for everyone.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I don't need to be for everyone. I do notice that there's certain industries, I'm not going to name any, but there's certain industries that are still pretty behind in embracing the awareness around what it really takes to scale a company. And that starts with the leadership's mindset, their envisioning, congruency, their alignment, and which is like, I'm going to contradict myself, because the tools that I have, I studied were the old school people that most of them are dead now. They wrote the books, they taught the seminars, and they got old and they died. It's just like the cycle of life. And so I think to myself some days, if these people knew about it, and why are you resisting understanding this? It's not like I'm coming up with something that was birthed by, I don't know, a 20-year-old last year. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is like principle. These are principles. These are universal principles. But I think that a lot of people get programmed and conditioned that business is hard. You got to struggle. Most businesses don't make it. And they just, it's like the starving artist theory. They just buy into it.
Right. Yeah.
And then they become it. Expect to be that.
Yeah. So how much, I believe in this next part, but for those who might not understand, or how much comes from that? Like in your mindset of I'm going to succeed or I'm not, like how much, the quote, you think you can or you can't, you're right either way. Like how much of that really do you see happen?
All of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
I just got off of a coaching call with the CEO of a pretty large corporation. And his biggest learning curve has been to look at everything as being a mirror and then to make the adjustments within.
Yeah. Because
he's been very well conditioned and programmed through repetition and peer groups, that whatever's going on around him is something out there. And so we all know when we're trying to control someone else's behavior or circumstances outside of ourselves, it's futile. So that's where I've taken him. I'm like, okay, give me an example of all of the scenarios in your 30-year career, being the CEO of multiple corporations, where trying to control other people or circumstances outside of you has provided the results. Because if you can show me that, we can utilize that, we can leverage that, we can calibrate off of that, and we can adjust accordingly. And he just can't come up with anything. It's always been when he shifted his perspective, when he looked at it from a different angle, when he did some self-reflection. It always came from the inside out.
Yeah.
But it's a hard pill to swallow, because I think most people would prefer to think that life is happening to them. Yeah. Not through them.
So if people are, and I know you said meditate, pray, get outside, work out, eat clean, but if they're trying to figure out like, how do I find that reflection when I'm doing these things? Maybe they're going to go for a walk today. Like, how do they, trying to figure out the wording for it, how do they take the steps to be able to open themselves
to
up
dial in
during those times? Yeah, to dial in, to actually maybe experience some moments of self-reflection just starting out.
You love listening to podcasts, but have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Maybe you want to build a brand, grow your business, or are looking for an excuse to talk about your favorite hobby. Whatever your reason for making a podcast, Buzzsprout is the place to start. Since 2009, Buzzsprout has helped over 300,000 people launch their own podcasts. Buzzsprout walks you step by step through the whole process and will give you powerful tools to start, grow, and monetize your podcast. Ready to get started? Click the link in the show notes to get our free step-by-step guide to starting your podcast today.
So I find appreciation for so look, getting outside and going for a walk in nature, first of all, it's free. And secondly, you always feel better. You get out of the stale air, you get out of the air conditioning or the heat or wherever you are.
Yep.
And you get outside, you go for a walk, get into the simple things like appreciate the breeze on your skin, appreciate the sun in your face, appreciate the trees. If there's no trees, appreciate the sky. But getting into this place of appreciation on something that has no agenda. Sorry about my phone. I thought I had to turn it off. It's really the answer. Because when you can get into a place of appreciation about something that doesn't really care if you like it or not, then you tap into your inner being, your higher self, because there's no strings attached.
Yeah, I think that's huge.
That's the key.
Yeah, because it opens up. It just like being able to do that and just appreciate, have that gratitude for it. Like you said, with no strings attached, it's just different. Like not expecting anything. Just even if it's like overcast, finding something out there to be appreciative of. Maybe you just had some rain. Hey, I'm appreciative for the rain that's helping this stuff grow, or that whatever it is. I think that's so crucial, like you said. And I think that's a great place to start, because it can be overwhelming for people. Like, oh, I hear about this mindset and meditation and self-reflection, and I don't know how to do that. I don't even know how to manage my own emotions anyways.
Don't have time.
Yeah, or I don't have time. They don't realize they just prioritize what matters. So I think that's just little things to start. You don't have to do it all at once. Like Deborah said, like maybe today it's just go for a walk for a minute or two and just find something to be appreciative for, and just slowly start building those habits.
Yeah. Think of a time I was at a client's office and we were doing a quarterly review that day. And one of the staff had booked themselves off for early, like they were leaving at 2, without any conversation with the CEO about this. And so we're rolling through lunch, and this person says, since we're breaking at this time for lunch, I won't be back. And everybody's like, what? And so I took the CEO at lunchtime, I took him on a walk, and we worked it through on the walk, because I knew it would shift his energy. If I just went and sat with him in his office, he'd be resistant, because this person had a pattern of pulling these shenanigans, right? So we get outside, we go for a walk. We're out there for about 40 minutes, walked it off. By the time we got back, he was really clear on what was not happening that day, and that was this person leaving early. It's whatever it takes to shift your mental and emotional state. And I find that physical movement always helps in that area. And see, that's why the workouts are so important.
Yeah.
I don't care if you like working out or not. Find something to exert some energy at.
Oh, yeah.
Because it stops.
I used to be an athletic trainer,
chatter.
and I would tell people, like, I was an athletic trainer with high school and industrial. And when I got in industrial, I was like, you guys just need to move. Just do something. You'll feel better. And then you can start doing more things. Just take it step by step. But yeah, I think that's so crucial. I think that's why we're having so much in the world, more and more anxiety problems and depression problems. Yes, there are a lot of traumas and underlying issues, but I think less and less people are really doing workouts that I think could really benefit their mental health if they were to do something more strenuous.
100%.
Sure.
100%.
Yeah, I think, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy, because it's funny. I give my wife a hard time all the time. You know, I took some steps today, and I said, yeah, that's great. You moved, but with what your goals are, that's not enough. So start now implementing a little bit more, because they get in the routine of, I did walks, but you do that every day. So you're not pushing yourself.
Yeah.
So it's just like our mind. We have to do the same kind of thing to open up. And I think I did an exercise one time with it where it was a guided meditation type thing where they had you think of your younger self and let them sit in a chair in front of you. And it was like different things. You tell them you're proud of them or something like that. And you worked your way up at different age frames in your mind. And that was like a crazy thing for me to do because it like unlocked like emotions, like
sure,
a whole bunch of things. And like, maybe that's the next step for some people listening, but just how powerful the mind can be, even with things like that, to unlock traumas and let them go and heal and things like that.
The thing is that our mind is really infinite in its power. I've never met a human being that has fully tapped into all of their power. And it's really the tool to everything. It's the key. It's energy. Everything is energy. The shirt you're wearing is energy. The microphone you're using was a thought. It's all an energy, which is thought. Thought is energy. And it was a thought in someone's mind to invent that thing before it ever became a physical microphone. So that's how everything on the planet works. And you can deny it, but then you're going to be feeling powerless and you're going to feel like a victim, like it's happening at you, to you. And it's the biggest step we'll ever take in our lives. And that is looking in the mirror and going, I did that. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, I did that. And so the more you can allow yourself to do that, the more you can change your experiences and shift your outcomes and get past this struggle paradigm that's the way it's supposed to be, because that's just not true.
Yeah. And I think that what point you made there too, of looking at yourself and saying, I did that regardless, good, bad, or indifferent. I think just taking responsibility. A lot of people don't want to hear that. Oh, no, it was the environment I was in or something happened to me. Like you mentioned, it's like, just take responsibility. Okay, I did that, or that happened because whatever. Just taking ownership and then moving forward, I think is a big, crucial step with our mindset journey for sure.
Especially when you are running a team or you're leading a team or building a team. We train people how to treat us by how we respond. And when we have people on our team, I think that every person that is in any kind of a leadership role should, by definition of their role, should be required to take time each morning before they come into the office to get themselves into alignment with a higher level of thinking and out of their ego, out of their reactionary, because then, what we're projecting energetically, people pick up on. Yeah. And then they have to mirror that back to us because we are so committed to struggle. Let's use struggle, for example. We're so committed to struggle, then the people around us have to show us struggle. We're so committed to a lack of communication, then the people around us, and this is quantum physics, energetically have to show us poor communication or lack of communication. It can be no other way. People cannot reflect back to us who we aren't.
Yeah.
And this is the whole point of consciousness, at least the way I see it. I mean, consciousness in business, right?
Yeah.
It's like, first of all, when you're working with people, you have to work with who they are being at that time, not who you want them to be. Right? And so you need to figure out a way to marry that with their potential and find that balance between this is who they're showing themselves to be now, and this is who we've identified they can develop into. It's just like ignoring the senses of what's coming at you today, like the low bank account or the poor performance or the bad P&L or whatever it is, and shifting to, okay, what are we creating?
Yeah.
And it's a very delicate balance because, you don't want to put your head in the sand
Right.
and be like an ostrich. But at the same time, you have to get over here to where you're headed. You always got to be forward facing. There's a reason the rear view mirror in the car is so small and the windshield is so big.
Absolutely. That's good. It should be on a t-shirt or bumper sticker or something.
I know, right?
No, but Deborah, this has been great. I think it's a great starting point for a lot of people with their mindset who are starting out in business. I think what you just went through, they'll be able to take so much away and start seeing results just from that. But if people wanted to connect with you more, find out more about what you do, where's the best place for them to do that?
Just all my social media is the Deborah Peters Show, Deborah with an H. My YouTube channel has a couple hundred plus free coaching videos. And my website is neimind.com. Yeah, just give me a holler.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody make sure you get connected with Deborah and continue to learn what she's doing and what she's putting out there to help you improve your mindset in business. And again, Deborah, thanks so much for being on Elevate Your Brand today. Yeah,
thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun, and I look forward to catching up with you again.
Absolutely. And until next time, everybody, make sure you take steps, improve your mindset to elevate what you're doing already, and share this with someone who it could benefit as well, who might need a little bit of help growing their mindset too. So we can help a lot more people together. And thanks so much for tuning into this episode today. If you found value at all from this episode, please leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It just helps us get this show, these messages out in front of more people. And don't forget to share this with someone who you think could benefit from listening to as well.